never grow old, Michael. And you'll never die. Be one of us.
Notice anything unusual about Santa Carla yet?
It's a pretty cool place. If you're a Martian.
Or a vampire.
Dad.
You know where Hudson's Bluff is? I can't beat your bike. You just have to try and keep up. How far are you willing to go, Michael? Guess first. How are those maggots? Drink some of this, Michael.
Don't. It's blood.
Michael, Michael, Michael. Now you know what we are. Now you know what you are.
Help me! Stay back! Stay back! Help me! My own brother, a vampire. You wait till Mom finds out, buddy.
You don't want to miss this.
You smell like garlic.
When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. Well, we remember these names. The Lost Boys. That's right. 1987. Who cannot forget The Lost Boys? So was this going to be the Goonies meet the vampires? Because before Joel Schumacher came on board to direct Lost Boys, producer Richard Donner originally planned to helm the movie himself. So you know Richard Donner, he's got the Goonies, so obviously he comes on board and the characters were going to be much younger versions of themselves. In this version of the story, the vampires were 13 and 14-year-olds. The Frog Brothers were 8-year-olds. But Richard Donner, his schedule filled up and he had to withdraw from the project, and that opened the door for Joel Schumacher to come in and retool the script. Have you heard of the two Coreys? That's right. Well, back in the 80s, the teenage heartthrob duo Corey Feldman and Corey Haim were known worldwide as the two Coreys. And throughout a variety of movies and TV projects, they were always together. They had a partnership and it extended well into adulthood up until Corey Haim's death, rest in peace. And as the two even had their own reality series, and they called it the Two Coreys. Well, it all began right here, that's right, with the Lost Boys. Now, the Lost Boys had its dark moments, and there's plenty of comedic aspects as well. Obviously, towards the end of the movie, one of the things with Grandpa jokes around and says, "One thing about living in Santa Carla, I could never stomach all the damn vampires." Well, the original ending was intended to be much different. After Grandpa's one-liner, they were going to have a scene where a new group of teenagers would be shown crawling into the vampire's cave, and a nearby mural would reveal Max on the boardwalk. And the shot of Max in the mural was then later considered to be a shot as a post-credit scene, but the art department didn't get around to making the mural, and the moment was never filmed. And that soundtrack, the soundtrack was a hit as well. It had success, and it managed to peak at number 15 on the Billboard chart. And it featured a variety of memorable tracks. One of them, Cry Little Sister from Gerard McMahon. And basically major artists are still covering that classic song over 30 years later. The song has been remixed by artists such as Eminem, Dee Snider, Tyga, and Crazy Bone. But more recently, it was covered once again by Marilyn Manson for the upcoming Marvel movie, The New Mutants. Now, they almost had a sequel with the movie, and hopefully, I don't know, maybe should they revisit that? Would you guys like to see that? Let me know in the comments below. But obviously, Kiefer Sutherland, who played David, had not quite as a definitive death that you would say, as much as the other vampires. Well, it turned out to be a reason for that. Joel Schumacher was envisioning a possible sequel and wanted to leave room to bring the character back. And it was going to be also a female-led follow-up called The Lost Girls. Schumacher made several attempts to get the sequel made in the following years, but the project never managed to get off the ground. Now, of course, The Lost Girls never happened, but they did, with The Lost Boys, get 2 sequels. They were released directly to DVD back in 2008 and 2010. They had Lost Boys: The Tribe, which brought back Corey Feldman as Edgar Frog, and Corey Haim appears in a post-credit scene. Also, Lost Boys: The Thirst also features Feldman and Jameson Newlander reprising as the Frog Brothers. And the thing is the critics on Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 0% rating. Now, back in 2020, per Sci-Fi, they said that there was a new iteration of a planned series that was being rewritten by Rob Thomas and Heather Mitchell, and basically they attached Marco Siega to direct. So not sure what's going on with that right now, but that is something back in 2020. Now, does The Lost Boys have some tie-in to Disney? Well, of course. Peter Pan, the Lost Boys are a tribe of male youngsters who, like their leader, ran away from home to go to Neverland, where they never have to grow old or die, much like the vampires. The one thing about The Lost Boys was it was a teen-friendly horror movie, and it revitalized the vampire genre back in the 80s. I mean, obviously you had Fright Night, Vamp, Near Dark, The Monster Squad. So you had a lot of those movies. And then, of course, you had Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So The Lost Boys pretty much helped set the stage. Also for like Bram Stoker's Dracula, Interview with the Vampire, and even the Twilight series. So vampire movies were pretty much influenced by The Lost Boys, as well as The Craft. So, now a fun fact, I was born in San Jose, which is the Bay Area, and it's not too far from Santa Cruz, which is where The Lost Boys was shot. But the production was only allowed to film there on one condition. Santa Cruz officials insisted the name of the town be changed in the movie. They didn't like the fact that the script declared it to be the murder capital of the world. So the filmmakers created Santa Carla. But on a side note, Santa Cruz did have a horrific history, because back in the 70s, the town was a site of a series of grisly and random killings, with several notorious serial killers operating at the same time. Now, Jamie Gertz was a breakthrough role for her, and she quickly became a major crush for many young viewers. But she was an unlikely candidate for the role at first because they wanted a blonde. Joel Schumacher wanted a Meg Ryan type. Now, there was a 22-year-old unknown with no film roles who did try out. And who was it? Ben Stiller. Now, you'll notice that Kiefer Sutherland wears his leather bike gloves. He's rarely seen without them. Well, the reason is because it was hiding the fact that he broke his wrist midway through filming. Perhaps ironically, given that the young vamps are bikers, but Sutherland sustained this injury falling off his motorbike. Now, the special effects was pretty good. Lost Boys was among the first vampire movies to use extensive special makeup effects. They represented the transformation from human to vampire. Back in the previous years, vampire actors would put in false fangs, and that was pretty much it. However, one key part of the makeup was the contact lenses. which was really challenging for them. They were painful, so the actors could only stand to wear them for a few seconds at a time. In fact, when David nearly captures Sam before being burnt by a beam of sunlight, the tear dripping down Kiefer Sutherland's cheek is genuine, as his eyes were gently watering from discomfort. So if they had done the Lost Girls, the ones that were up for the role was Tara Reid and Rachel Lee Cook. Was that something you would have went with? Well, The Lost Boys was a definite classic, and like I said, it went on to inspire Buffy the Vampire Slayer. In fact, Spike, the Buffy character, was inspired by Billy Idol, little Kiefer Sutherland, and every guy in a black coat. Next time you're walking along the beach boardwalk in the cool, crisp air, make sure you look up. You never know. A vampire just might be near.